Welcome in. How are we doing? It is a Friday before Valentine's Day, I guess is what it is.
Friday the 13th.
It is Friday the 13th. Is that still a thing? At what age do you get over Friday the 13th?
I don't think you I guess you get over it, but I don't know. I still felt a little weird today. You get that little vibe. Even though nothing's gonna go wrong or that bad, you still ooh, spooky day.
No, that's
So
true.
you don't have feelings. You're like the Terminator.
No, that's not true. I already had something bad go wrong today.
Well, okay, it's also used to something bad happens every day, but
yeah, I go outside to put the dog outside this morning. I come inside. My 3-year-old has knocked off a Christmas tree ornament and shattered it all over the floor in the living room.
Well,
it's not happy.
Why are the Christmas trees still up?
Because
I'm February 13th.
I am fighting to keep them up until May at least. My kids want them up a year round. They're fighting tooth and nail not to get
3-year-old is not helping their case.
Well, no, not
breaking
today.
ornaments is not going to get the job done.
She hadn't broken an ornament until this morning. So
that's pretty impressive.
Yes, that's not exactly the greatest way to start my morning off, but I'll get over it at some point. Coming up on today's show, Erik Nehm, Milwaukee Bucks beat writer for The Athletic, joins us coming up here at 2:20. Erik Kratz, former Brewers catcher, now, of course, co-host on Foul Territory TV with Scott Braun and AJ Brzezinski. He'll join us coming up at 3 o'clock. He wasn't as much of a fan as the Caleb Durbin trade as he should have been, so we'll try and convince him that he should be more of a fan of that. That comes up at 3 o'clock. Charlie Sounds today at 3:40. Green and Gold update at 4 o'clock. And got to get into what Mason Crosby's show got into a little bit. This whole NFL, NFLPA team report cards and the NFL kind of being sleazy, I guess would be the best way to put it. So we'll get into that coming up at 4 o'clock. And of course, Plead the Fifth today. That's the fun segment brought to you by Habish, and Rotier. So if you want to get in, we got to have some time here. So either you can call in, reference what happened, or if you text in, earlier in the week or today before we get to the segment at 4:20, Charlie will have time to go pull the audio that you want pulled. So for instance, somebody was mad at Rami's Olympic take earlier this week. Charlie's able to go pull that Olympic take so we can have that for 4:20. That'll be one of the people that are be told to plead the fifth. If you have other examples of that from other shows, that's fine. Or from other things people around the world of sports said, if you give Charlie enough time, he'll be able to go pull that audio and we can play that. All you got to do is use the talk and text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Text in who you'd like to see plead the fifth coming up today at 4:20. So we have to start off talking about what I know we're going to talk about, right? No, it's not the fact that Charlie's got a haircut. No, it's not the fact that Charlie shaved and looks like a completely different person right now on YouTube and X. If you go look at him at WI Sports Radio, no, we're not gonna talk about that. That's not gonna be a topic for 10, 15, 20 minutes, even though it could be, legitimately could be. But it's not gonna be. Instead, we are gonna talk about what happened last night for the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm telling you right now that Jang, man, last night on X, I was like, it's 2 games. It's only 2 games. It's 2 games, ... But Jang, but dang, get it? Yeah. I am trying not to overreact. And if you know me, I do overreacting very, very well. It's one of the strong suits of my personality. I overreact with the best of them. It could be overreacting to something being absolutely horrible when we haven't even got to that point yet, but I've already put us at that point. It could be overreact to something absolutely phenomenal, like, for instance, Sam Congano, right? Man, I thought that dude was all that in a bag of chips. And I was told he's just a dude. Just settle down. Oh, yeah, you not watching the same thing I am? This dude's unbelievable. And poof, out of the NFL he went, right? Gone. See ya. Overreact to Sam Shields on family night in the scrimmage going, hey, here we go. That's our guy. That one I was right on. He played well for a couple of years for the Packers. So I was there. Watching this guy. And then Cam Thomas, we knew what he is before with Brooklyn, right? Defense isn't the best necessarily. He's going to chuck a lot of shots. He's going to make a bunch of shots. Keith, with him, like with Jang, can you just continuously go to the bucket and not settle for jump shots so we get to the free throw line and all of that stuff? Create for others, open up passing lanes. things that you're going to ask from both of them. Jang is a restricted free agent at the end of the year, so you'll have the right of first refusal there if you can't get a deal done. And then free agency will be for Cam Thomas, so he can roll out and go play somewhere else if he wants, or the Bucs can essentially try to re-sign him. The question I have is this. Do you think bringing back Thomas and Jang on deals would potentially be enough to get Giannis to re-sign and sign that another extension, which is like the super duper 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 max extension with all the crazy money he's going to make now? Nicolay Law Talk, text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Doc Rivers did not coach that game last night for the Bucs, had a funeral to get to, so that always sucks. I know I don't like going to funerals, so thoughts and prayers with Doc Rivers and whatever he may be going through at this point. But Darvin Ham, he got to be the head coach last night, and he talked about Jang.
Man, I think he's just scratching the surface. He's so young, and just his size, his athleticism, his smarts, some of the passes he made tonight, some of the finishes, the threes, the defense, like he's just scratching the surface. We found a jewel. They did a good job prepping him here. And, it's like that sometimes. Sometimes you can have too many good players, and so you have to part ways with some. But we're happy we were able to get him. Thrilled we were able to get him, and he's someone that's going to help us in the immediate present and the future.
Now, it's hard not to get overly excited after you hear Darvin Ham. I mean, Darvin Ham is selling you on what you want to believe, which is, hey, man, they might have a stud here, right? I mean, there's so many things to like about Jang. The ability to put the ball on the floor. The fact that he is long, right? That he's a legit three that is long like Giannis is long. That helps with deflections and passing lanes and so forth once you get him playing defense the correct way. 4 block shots last night. 4 block shots. So defensively, he's got a little something with him defensively as well. So he's not just a one-trick pony. Yes, he is shooting the 3. Now, I don't know if that part of this is fool's gold. Like, is he going to fall back into maybe not being the best of three-point shooters or whatever? I don't know. But through 2 games, his shot looks good to me. I don't know about y'all, but it looks good to me. There is a couple of things that got posted last night that I wanted to point out. Players under the age of 23 this year to put up 15 points, 10 boards, 5 assists, and 4 or more blocks in the game this season. Did you see the list, Charlie?
I did not.
Okay. Jang is one of them. Who else?
Alperen Sengun?
Nope.
No? Okay. Jokic?
Nope.
Potentially? No?
No, because you missed the age part.
Oh, I didn't hear the
players
age, yeah.
under 23.
Okay. Oh, gosh. I have no idea. Chet Holmgren?
No.
Potentially. Wemby?
That's the list. Wemby and
That's
Jang.
it.
That's all. That's the list. Those 2, that's the list.
Well, I bet if you expand that to the entire league, like all ages, I bet it's still not a very long list.
Okay. List of Bucs players to record 15, 10, 5, and 4 or more blocks in a game since 2015. This has happened 17 times since 2015. Name the players.
Sure, Giannis is most of those.
And Jang, that's all.
Okay.
That's it. There is no more. It's only been Giannis.
Like maybe like Brooke might have had a random game where he had a lot of blocks like that DPOY season.
No. It's Giannis and Jang. That's it. Jang is the only other guy to do it besides Giannis since 2015. And the last 10 years, nobody on this roster in a Bucs uniform in 10 years has done what he did last night and his second game in a Bucs uniform. We said, was it yesterday? I think it was. Hey, man, I've probably been saying it for more than just yesterday, but the Packers, Brett Favre's done. Here's Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is done. Here's Jordan Love. Now, Giannis is done. Got nothing. Now, all of a sudden, you look at Jake and go, maybe you got that next building block to build with going forward. Maybe. Now, just to clarify, this isn't Rollins. And I know y'all like Ryan Rollins. That's cool. I'm not going to tell you who to like, who not to like. Rollins won a lottery pick. This cat was 11 in the lottery on a decent draft. It was the Banchero draft, right? He went right after Johnny Davis. Clearly, he should have went in front of Johnny Davis. But he went 11. So this isn't like this is a kid that, oh boy, he doesn't have this much talent. He just got hot. This is a guy that a majority of the league all thought was going to be something, right? But was raw and had stuff to work on and so forth, and got the seasoning and all of that for the last 3.5 years with Oklahoma City. And now here you are, and now he's getting run. And Doc said it the night before. Hey, man, he just didn't have opportunity. And if you got somebody opportunity, you can really start to see what he looks like as the confidence builds. I don't want there to be an all-star break. Give me a game tomorrow. I don't want Jake to sit here and think about this for 5-6 days and then go out and go, oh, sorry, that was a mirage. That's not really who I am. That's what I'm scared of. But if Jen comes out on the all-star break and throws up 2-3 more games like how he's playing, that's totally different. But dude, he's got that step and fade away, step back three that he's done that like 2 or 3 times. So clearly that's legitimate. He can shoot it from wherever you want him to shoot from around the 3-point arc. That's legitimate. Again, to me, I look at this and go, man, I think they might have an all-star type player here the more he plays. And it's not like he's jacking 30 shots a game to get to 20 or something like that. He's been relatively efficient along the way.
Exactly. And this kind of feels like, to me, what Jabari Parker was supposed to be for this team. Like, he's playing almost not exactly the same way Jabari Parker did, but a lot of those kind of fadeaways getting into the guys' stomachs and then pushing out, kind of that mellow style of play even too. Right. It feels like the type of player that this Bucks team was missing, where you could have someone who can score from all 3 levels and be able to go out there and also be a ball handler and pass the ball. You saw the alley-oop to Jericho Sims last night. That was really fun to watch because we were talking about that yesterday too on Wisconsin Sports Daily. I think this is the type of guy that you needed to fit in, a guy that kind of replaces a Chris Middleton almost in that type of role, but is bigger and can rebound better. That's exactly what this Bucks team needed.
But see, the question we're asking is, do you think bringing both these guys back, Thomas and Jang, restricted free agent for Jang, free agent for Thomas, would potentially be enough to get Giannis to sign that max contract? Because Giannis been doing a lot of smiling here the last couple of games. Doing a lot of smiling, watching what this looks like right now. If you think we're excited, I can only imagine how excited this cat is right now, right? Nikolai Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. All you need is Giannis to be convinced that what he's seeing from Jang is real, right? And if he goes, I think this is real. You know what Cam Thomas is. You know what Rollins and KPJ are, right? You know what Miles Turner are. There are a lot more definitive pieces around this team where you go, I know what he is. I know what he is. I know what Thomas is. But if this kid is real, that changes everything. Because now Rollins, KPJ, Jang, Cam Thomas, those 4 guys, and Giannis, those are 5 guys that can get you 20 on a given night.
If you look in the talk and text line, 414-677-1250 from the 4 and 4, Sparky, can we talk about Sims? I mean, the guy is becoming a legit center in them.
This again.
I'm back on, baby.
You texted that in, didn't
I
you?
did not. I'm a
262.
I'm a 262. I didn't do anything.
Sims fan base is growing. Yes, I said it yesterday. I don't know what the hell's going on. I honestly don't know what's going on. But if he can be a guy, sure, I'm all in on Sims being a guy if they can work on him. What they really need him to do is be able to hit a mid-range jumper. Like, I don't need him to be able to shoot 3. He doesn't have to shoot 3. If you could just take a 15-foot jumper and hit that, if that space is available to you, I'm cool with that. If you could do a little shimmy shake turnaround on the baseline from 5 to 8 feet, I'm good with you. Give me something other than the dunk offensively, even if he comes up with a hook shot. Like, I'd be good with a hook shot from 3 to 5 feet. I'm cool with that. But give me something in the offseason to make me believe that you might be able to do something else.
Or become a better defender. If you're not going to be that great on the offensive side of the ball outside of at the rim, go out on the defensive side of the ball and start working on that side of your game. The Bucks really need that right now. Just like I think he noticed the Bucks needed that offensive rebounding, that more aggressive rebounding, and he went out there and worked on that this season.
Correct. Ken, I understand that the Thunder didn't have SGA last night. I understand they were down guys, right? They had multiple guys hurt. But with all due respect, to the Thunder beat writers who were like, this is like the worst loss of the season. There was a lot of that going on last night with the Oklahoma City Thunder fans. But maybe it was for them. But from my perspective, I enjoyed the heck out of that, right? Your head coach wasn't there. You were down players, good players, and you still figured out a way to get that thing done. It wasn't like you were down Giannis and nobody else. You were down multiple good players, starters, and your head coach, and still were able to pull that upset off against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Beautiful thing.
Well, and I mean, to kind of bring it down a little bit, let's not pretend like the OKC Thunder were at 100%.
I said that already.
I know.
You were on the phone, but I already said they were calling it like the worst loss of the year, because even with being down SGA and multiple guys, they were like, they should still be able to beat this Bucks team. With all due respect, if I was in Oklahoma City, I'd probably think the same thing. But if I was in Oklahoma City, I'd probably be saying today, they're getting ready for the All-Star break. Don't read into it. They're getting ready for the All-Star break.
That's what I would say, yeah.
Right? That's very well what you could say. But there ain't no denying Jang. I don't care if they're getting ready for the All-Star break or not. Kid's got to hit shots. He's got to be active. Those block shots, like all of that goes into it. You cannot deny that aspect of it. Let's go to Mike in Shorewood. You're next on the Nicolay Law Talk and text line. What's going on, Mike?
Yeah, great point by you, Sparky. Giannis, you want to impress him, and I've never seen him smile so much watching these young bucks out there balling out. Yeah, we know Cam Thomas. Hopefully, he can keep. We know this kid's a damn bucket getter. He played on a brutal Brooklyn Nets team, and he couldn't. And he was basically the only offense they had. Now you put him with a guy like Giannis, the dude could even thrive more. So you could show out that this is the place he wants to be. And you were talking about the young bucks. Dang. I mean, this kid, good avenge game for him after the OKC cut him loose. And what you want to do is sell Giannis on talents, acquisition, and young players going forward. And if he's watching this, he's saying, okay, we got something going towards the future instead of eyeing somewhere else. So you're using this time until he comes back to see these guys. They position themselves going forward, can really be some players around him. So that's what he wants, a chance to contend. And I think this is a good opportunity for him to watch from the sideline when he's interesting. Like, okay, we got a future beyond me. So this is the place I want to go and re-sign going forward.
Well, and that's what we want to see. Yep, that's what we want to see, Mike. Thanks for the call. Bobby Portis in studio right now on ESPN doing NBA Today, sitting in studio with Malika Andrews talking. Bucks 5-1 in their last 6, going the All-Star break. Second best record in the NBA over the last 6 games going into the All-Star break. I mean, I get Bobby Portis the media savvy one or whatever the case may be. But Jang, I don't know, man. I feel like in the second half of this season, if Jang becomes the media darling and the guy that everybody wants to talk about, then playoffs and all that other stuff, all that changes. Coming up next, Erik Nehm, Bucks beat writer for The Athletic, will join us. Follow him on X at Erik_Nehm. Straight ahead, Wisconsin Sports Daily, live in Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sports Block. Peacock, Jack Pembroke, and Tommy Wirtz tomorrow from 9 to 11 here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Tommy in here telling us about all the stuff he's doing for his girl and all that fun stuff on Valentine's Day. Charlie's going out again, Moe's Steakhouse tonight with him and his girl. We're going to, we're taking the kids. It's really a Valentine's thing, but whatever. They have like these heart-shaped pizzas over at like this Brick Pizzeria place in Franklin.
Yeah, Brick's really good.
Have you been there? Never been there. So we got reservations. Tomorrow's completely sold out. So last night we found reservations for tonight. So we'll go check that out tonight and see what that's all about. And then, typical Saturday after that. Joining us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Now there's a Valentine of all Valentines. There he is. Erik Nehm joining us on X and on YouTube. Erik, I mean, NBA All-Star break, all that stuff. So what are you doing on Valentine's Day weekend, buddy?
Not a whole heck of a lot. I've been through a lot in the last couple months.
Man, Giannis ought to buy you some chocolate-covered strawberries, a bottle of whatever you want. Between you and Ozarski, y'all must have aged like 10 years.
Yeah, it's been a lot. So I'm going to catch up on sleep. That's the main goal here over the All-Star break. And, just get ready for a fun game in New Orleans next Friday.
Okay, I was going to say the All-Star game's not fun. Okay, so let's talk about this. I wanted to get you on because I need you to try to ground me and bring me down from the clouds, because this entire time I've been going, just tank the damn thing, win 5 games at max the rest of the year, do what Utah's doing. I don't care if they got $5.5 million. We've got billionaires. I don't care about $500,000. Do what you got to do. This is a loaded lottery at the top 5, top 6, whatever it is. Get one of those cats. Tell Giannis this is what we got. You got 2 or 3 once to deal this offseason. Find a star and let's roll. Then John Horst makes some random deal. Nobody knows who this Jen guy is outside of you. And in this cat comes number 11 pick in the draft lottery in 2022. He looks like a damn draft lottery pick after 2 games. I mean, is he this good? Like, should we be getting this excited, or should it be, yeah, come on, man. Like, if he was this good, he would have played for the Thunder. So, like, where should we be at as a Bucks fan right now, Erik?
I think there's probably an in-between there. I don't think you have to think Ousmane Dieng is going to be a future All-Star. Like that.
I'm already there. All
right. Well, then I do need to ground you a little bit.
But I'm not at Hall of Fame yet. I'm just at All-Star.
I think one of the things with him is if this is how he's going to shoot the rest of his career, then yeah, pencil him in for all NBA and all-star games, and this is your next big star. But I
take that for the promo. Take that part for the promo. Don't leave whatever he says. Whatever he says after this, don't put that in the promo. Go ahead, Erik. Sorry.
I sincerely doubt he's going to shoot 50% from 3 for the rest of his career.
Agreed.
The way that he shot the ball thus far, I think explains why there is hope in him as a prospect. And because like this is showing off the skill, right? Like this is, he does have some skill as a 3-point shooter. He does have some skill as someone that can create off the dribble. Like those are all things that he does have. And I think those are all the things that, like, when you're speaking about someone at 22 years old having potential, those are the things that you're talking about, right? Like you are discussing and thinking about, what could they one day become? And he's showing off a lot of that right now. I think where you do need to see him become a little bit better, a little bit stronger is strength. This is a guy, he's 6'9". I think thus far he's taken 1 shot at the rim, only 2 or 3 shots in the paint. Like this is a guy with that length, with the ability to handle the ball, with the ability to get downhill, got to be drawing fouls, got to get to the free throw line. I think one of the big secret, I shouldn't even say a secret, but I think something people sometimes forget is that when you and I would interning, I don't even know when we would have talked about this, but when we were talking about the difference between Giannis Antetokounmpo and Jabari Parker, one of the things we couldn't get over with Jabari was he never gets to the free throw line. When he goes to the rim, he's an amazing athlete, and he's finding a way to avoid contact at the rim and finish, and that's great. But the value there is getting to the free throw line. is finishing through the contact, is doing all those things. And that's one of the skills that Giannis has been elite at since the very start of his career. He's been an elite foul drawer, and something that goes to the line at a high rate from the moment he got to the league. That's when we're talking about a 6'9" wing, that should be the goal. How do I play with more force? How do I get to the free throw line? How do I get easier shots for me? If I am so skilled and I can shoot a high percentage at the free throw line, well, then let's get there. Let's find a way to do that. And I think you're seeing the other things right now, the 3-point shooting, that's great. Like if you can really shoot it at a high level, I think he bumped up to around 35% this year for the Thunder. It had been 30-ish before that. Like maybe this is the year where he's starting to show that potential and he's starting to grow as a shooter. If you can be a good 3-point shooter, then let's do these other things. And I think so. It's fun to get excited. I'm not going to stop anyone from getting excited. I think, though, you got to be looking at all those other things. Like once we get back from the All-Star break, he's going to be on more scouting reports. Right now, if you're not playing for the Oklahoma City Thunder, you're not on the scouting report. Teams do not care at all. So they will now have 2 games. And they will look at that and they will take away the things that he's gotten thus far, which are largely wide open threes. Now that catch high, keep high 3 hit at the end of the clock the other night, that was pretty crazy. I didn't think he had that in him. So again, there are some of those things that you can maybe mine and hope to be there. But more of the concrete stuff is what the Bucks need to be looking for him out of the All-Star break.
This is the thing, Eric. Giannis gets here. He's thinner than me, rail thin, right? And over the course of time, he builds and builds and builds through immense hard work and tons of weightlifting and eating and all the hours and dedication. Thon Maker was here too. They would make that man eat for a straight hour and have somebody sit there and talk to him. They did everything they could to try to put weight in that man, and he just would not put any weight. His structure would not allow it. Where are we at on Jang? Do you look at Jang and go, yeah, with his shoulders and everything else, he should be able to add weight and muscle through a couple of off seasons with this Bucks team as they work with him?
I do think there is the possibility that he can add some strength. I do think his shoulders are big enough for it. When you're next to him and you're talking to him, he does seem to have a little bit of, wider shoulders. The hips aren't like, sometimes with guys you can tell, like John Henson, right? He had very narrow hips, and it was like, well, he's never going to add the weight because there's nowhere for it to go. Yep. And I do think with Usman, there is some of that. I also think one of the things I always warn people about when they come to me asking about their bright young star in whatever city, and they're asking about, well, how can we get them? How can we get them on the Giannis plan? Like, how did Giannis add 40 pounds? And I think one of the things that unfortunately I have to inform people is like, Giannis grew up in poverty. If you listen to his story, he was literally malnourished. Like they were not eating enough. That was how he developed as a prospect. And then all of a sudden he got to the NBA and it was like, oh, there's food everywhere and I can actually eat what I'm supposed to eat and have square meals every day. Like that was a big thing. Like that was a big deal for him to be able to get that. And that thus you can't just create that for someone else. Like this was literally a once in a lifetime thing. So while I do think he can add some weight, I'm not expecting the full 45 pounds or 50 pounds or whatever it is that Giannis put on over the years.
If he adds 15 pounds.
Sure. Yeah. No.
That's significant.
And I don't even know if it needs to be that much. Like just 10 pounds. Literally the thing that I would say is, and I'm sure we're going to talk about Cam Thomas here in a little bit.
That's next.
But the thing I would say with both these guys is, if you've watched my tweets during the last couple games about Cam Thomas, the thing I keep highlighting is, oh, we finished at the rim again. Oh, we got to the rim again. Oh, we got to the rim again. Oh, we got to the free throw line. Those are things that if you're someone that can score or shows potential in other ways, you got to find a way to get the easy points. The most efficient scorers get the easy points. So with Usman, it's how do you play with more force? How do you get to the free throw line? How do you get to the rim more often? And with Cam Thomas, it'll be the same thing. How do you keep finding ways to put pressure on the rim? And maybe that means he's going to throw lobs to Jericho Sims or lobs to Giannis or whatever. But those are the things that I think when you're looking to be a more sustainable player rather than just a flash in the pan, it's those easy concrete things like getting to the line and getting to the rim.
Talking with Erik Nehm, Bucks beat writer for The Athletic. Follow him on X at Erik_Nehm, joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Again, it's only a couple of games. Percentage of his offense getting to the rim significantly higher than it was with the Nets this year. So, not that I want to stir the pot, but is that Bucks coaching?
Oh, that's interesting. It could be.
Because everybody wants Doc fired, so I'm
Sure,
just going to throw it out
no,
there.
no. So what I would say is this: like, I think the post game in Orlando stood out to me, where in his post game, Doc Rivers tells me that's Jamal Crawford, that's Lou Williams, and I take that as a compliment. Like, for 2 games in, for your head coach to be like, hey, this guy reminds me of 2 of the all-time great 6-man microwave scorers we've seen in the last 2 decades.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that was a compliment. That's high praise from Doc Rivers. Where it kind of got lost a little bit is when I brought it up to Cam Thomas. He did say that he appreciated the compliment and that was nice, but then he went on to say, like, no, I'm more than that. I'm more than just a scorer. I'm a better playmaker than that. I think I can do a little bit more, blah, 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 blah. And to me, that is where the tension will be for the final, what do we got? 30 games left in the season, 29 games. That will be the tension for Cam Thomas and the Milwaukee Bucks. Is the problem in Brooklyn was Cam Thomas did not want to accept what he is. And that can be because he wanted more money. He wanted a bigger role. He thought he still had superstar potential, whatever it might be. The role was not something that he was willing to accept there. And sometimes in the NBA, you see someone get to a second team and they've come to the realization, right? They saw it and said, okay, I understand now what I'm supposed to do in this league. I understand what my role is going to be, and I understand what it's going to be if I want to be on a good team. And I don't know if Cam Thomas is there. And that to me is going to be the question is, do you accept the hard coaching? Do you accept the role? Do you accept them saying, hey, maybe not a million mid-range jumpers. Maybe try to get to the rim and throw those lobs. You say you're a good passer. Let's see if you can do it. And that to me, I think is where there will be tension, because I do think he will fall back into old habits where it's like, no, I can do more. I can do this. And on a team that is, 6 games under 500, I can see why he would think that and why he would feel that and why he'd want to say, like, you need my help. What are you talking about? You need this. But the Bucks are going to have to work with him and try to get him into a role that makes more sense. And that is one of the things where thus far, I think the coaching staff has done a pretty nice job of it. But
Cam Thomas, free agent. Jang, restricted free agent. Looking at the landscape of the Bucks, potential offseason, all of that, are they in a position to potentially bring both back if they want?
Yes. I think one of the things that is interesting this season, because it's unlike other seasons with the Milwaukee Bucks, is that they have a lot of mercenaries. And what I mean by that is that they have brought in a bunch of people that are trying to figure out maybe their next stop, right? Like, I'm going to show that I have value here to get somewhere else, or I'm going to show that I have value here to get a bigger contract, or whatever it might be. And you kind of go through it, and you have the spots where it's very true, real development. Like Ryan Rollins, the Bucks already have him signed to a contract for next season. It's $4 million. It's going to be one of the best deals in the entire league. Like, having that guy for $4 million is crazy, insane value, amazing for the Bucks. So if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, you want to try to get the most out of that as possible. All right. So that means more reps for him on ball. That means working on the things that he needs to work on. That means working through all of those problems. Okay. That's great. You also have Kevin Porter Jr., who has a player option for next year. And who would like to have a bigger contract and who would like to have a bigger role and would like to re-solidify his place in the NBA. Okay, we've seen some good games from Kevin. I think the last couple games have been some of the most in-control playmaking games that Kevin has had. That's great. But I don't know if he believes that that is going to be his role that's going to get him a new contract. And I don't know how he's going to feel when instead of playing out there all alone as the only playmaker, how he's going to feel when Ryan Rollins comes back after the break, when Giannis comes back after the break. I think one of the big things where we've seen throughout this season, and I think one of the biggest questions for Doc Rivers this entire season has been, okay, Ryan Rollins was great for 20 games when Kevin Porter Jr. was out. Kevin Porter Jr. came back, and then you couldn't figure it out. You couldn't get the most out of both of them. And then when you added Giannis into the mix or took Giannis out of the mix, again, more problems there, maximizing everyone and getting the most out of your team. And when a couple of them go away, oh, wow, look at that. Kevin Porter Jr. is back to being Kevin Porter Jr. Oh, look at this. Cam Thomas is great in his role. Okay. The beauty of coaching, the best coaches can get all of those things cohesively worked out and get the most out of their team. And we have not seen that consistently from Doc Rivers this season. And that will be the thing that you have to keep watching in this final batch of games. Like if Giannis comes back and they're going to keep trying to win and they're going to keep doing these things, how do you get enough reps for Usman? How do you get enough reps for Cam Thomas? How do you get enough reps for Ryan Rollins? How do you get enough reps for Kevin Porter Jr.? How do you get the ball to Giannis? How do you do this? How do you do that? Like all of those things have to work together cohesively to get the Bucks where they want to go. And we have not seen them consistently have a cohesive plan to get the most out of everyone on the team.
I should have just had you come in for 3 hours because I've got like 30 things. I don't have time to ask you 30 things. My last one is simply a guy that I think is bewildering all of us. Who or what is Jericho Sims right now? What is going on?
Throughout this season, Doc Rivers has complimented Jericho Sims on his ability to rebound and his ability to set screens and catch lobs. For 45 games this season, that seemed to be a figment of his imagination. I wasn't seeing it. I wasn't seeing Jericho Sims catch lobs. I wasn't seeing Jericho Sims do a particularly good job on the glass. The last 2 games, Jericho Sims has done that. And Jericho Sims has put up, I think a career high 17 points the other night, double-digit rebounds. Okay, that's what I was told he was doing. That's what Doc Rivers had said over and over again to me this year. Every time I asked about why does Jericho Sims play when your team is 20 points per 100 possessions worse with him on the floor. And it was always, we like what he's doing. We like what he's doing. We like that he sets screens. We like that he gets people open. We like that he rolls to the rim. We like that he defends. We like that he rebounds. I wasn't seeing those things on the court. Over the last couple games I have. So maybe this is him turning a corner. Maybe this is him figuring out exactly how all of this works, or maybe it's a blip, but we will see once they get back from the All-Star break, which is the real Jericho Sims and what is it that he can contribute when this team is more whole.
I'm just saying, like, Jang, if this is real, Cam Thomas, he's going to score. And this version of Jericho Sims is real. They're 5-1 in their last 6, second best record over that stretch going into the All-Star break. I mean, there is a good chance they're going to find themselves in this play-in tournament before this whole thing is said and done because Giannis is back in, a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the big things with Giannis, we haven't really talked about him a whole lot, but I think one of the big things for me personally, if I'm in charge, I'm making very, very clear to him, we're not doing the minutes limit thing anymore. We're not doing the minutes limit thing. Either you're healthy enough to play without minutes restrictions, or you're not healthy enough. And that to me is because Giannis is gonna play again this year. There's no doubt in my mind that that's what he plans to do, and that's what he's gonna do. Yep. And the thing I would say to him is that, okay, we tried that minutes limit thing while all NBA was still alive. We could get enough games in. You could be on the floor. You could do everything that you needed to do. We can't survive 18 minutes without you on the floor. If it's a hard 30, we can't survive that. So how do we get to a spot where you can play 35? And I know it seems crazy that 5 minutes would make that difference, but it really would. If 5 minutes blows out the Achilles, then you're really screwed. For sure. So that's why to me, it's okay. If you do want to come back, you do have to pass all these tests to the fullest extent. Like there's no coming back early if it is, those minutes limits, and that's what you got to do. And yes, I'm sure the first game it comes back will be 25 and the second one will be 30. Okay. But at some point there has to be the full freedom to let him play all the way. And if that is not there, I would really struggle again if I was in charge to clear him to even get started in that process.
Good. I back you. You've got my support. You can run for whatever you'd like. I'll support you. Erik Nehm, Bucks beat writer for The Athletic. Fine stuff. All by himself. He's worth signing up for The Athletic. Follow him on X at Erik_Nehm. Erik, thank you so much. Have a good weekend. Get some sleep.
I'll try. Thanks.
There he goes. Erik Nehm on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here.
we want guys to leave here and do well. You know, we don't want to be a program that has a reputation for leaving here and not doing well. You know, if guys leave here and do well, that's good for us in a lot of different ways. And so we've spent a lot of time with this. You know, we have a 4-year relationship with him, from our staff, teammates, everybody, and he was a great professional and did everything we asked him to do while he was here. So we want him to do well. I mean, obviously we'd like to make him miss shots, you know, better than we did tonight, but we're rooting for him, and he deserves that. He's a really good kid with a lot of basketball at him.
There you go, Mark Denault talking after that game for the Oklahoma City Thunder about, hey, man, it's a good kid. We're rooting for him. We want him to do well. You know, obviously it makes them look well too, right? Because they developed him a little bit. It's weird, though, man. You start talking about a top 12 pick that doesn't get a ton of run and isn't that successful. Granted, it's a championship caliber team, so understand that. But to just give that guy away for a bag of chips essentially is what they did. And now if this dude goes on and play at an all-star level, there's going to be questions asked. There is.
I mean, no, not if they go and win another NBA championship this year, or win 3 straight NBA championships, win 3 in 5 years like the Warriors did. I mean, if they go and do that, nobody cares about when they traded this guy away, because Shea is a 2-time, 3-time MVP by that point, a couple championships. They're happy. They were able to build this team that they've built out there in OKC through a couple of trades and mostly homegrown talent. And they're able to do that in such big bunches that they're okay moving on from some of these guys, kind of like the Brewers should be able to do.
Without that Paul George trade, this is not it, because that's what gets them SGA. Without that deal, they don't get to this point.
I was been listening. I love Pablo Torre, and Pablo Torre finds out, but they've been talking more about the Kawhi stuff and more stuff coming out crazy. Yes. But they were saying that they were just the reason Kawhi needed Paul George in LA, and Kawhi had like the Clippers just on a string the entire time, that entire postseason or off season. He was the one directing every single offseason moves they had and just forced them to do that. There was no way Paul George was worth that, even though he was an MVP caliber player at that point.
From all accords, Doc did not want to give up SGA in that deal, and it was out of his control.
From the reports that Pablo Torre is coming out with, apparently Doc Rivers was all in on this aspiration stuff and all that. So that's all new. So.
I'm not getting it. I'm not playing that game. I'm out. Let Pablo Torre play that game. I ain't. Hey, can you feel it? It's a thrill of witnessing a walk-off grand slam, a game-winning touchdown, a buzzer-beating. There's going to be a lot of those coming up next month. Hey, it's Sparky. You know the feeling. There's only one place to experience that raw exhilaration. Potawatomi Sportsbook. It's all the action in a supreme space with dozens of sports betting kiosks. Got kiosks right when you walk in from the parking garage, for God's sakes, right across from Rock and Brews. They're right there. Cool drinks, 48 beers on tap, several different specialty cocktails, luxury seating, 2 levels, unmatched food. And food is so good at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Homemade desserts and pastries every day on top of all of that. Great atmosphere and a monster video wall, 2,000 square feet. Can show you 30 different sporting events at one time. Only one place to be when the tournament action gets going. That's Potawatomi Sportsbook. More info online at Potawatomi.com. I always say, reserve your seat ahead of time. Otherwise, you're going to be standing. There's a ton of seats. No joke. But you know how packed that place is going to be in March. Go to Potawatomi.com. Reserve your seat ahead of time. Nominal fee, but it goes towards your food and beverage costs. Must be 21 to enter the casino. Man, oh, man, oh, man. I tell you what. That was the first hour. That was a first hour. And the second hour is going to be just as crazy. Second hour leads off with Erik Kratz, Foul Territory TV coach, him and AJ Brzezinski. Scott Braun do that show. Former Milwaukee Brewers catcher. He's on my list. Bring me Erik Kratz. Downplay the Caleb Durbin deal. I about fell off my chair the other day when I saw that. I want Erik Kratz. He's up next. Wisconsin Sports Daily. Live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios. Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. C. Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Charlie Houston doing his thing over there. All freshly clean cut for Valentine's weekend. Back after this. It is time again. Welcome in as we broadcast live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Thanks for listening in across the state of Wisconsin, whether you be in Green Bay and Appleton on WNFL, the Flamethrower 99.7, or if you're in Wausau, 93.9 The Game, or Duluth, Superior on 710 The Game, or in Milwaukee on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Appreciate y'all for listening. If you're streaming us at wisportsradio.com, or how about live streaming on X and on YouTube at WI Sports Radio, all of those work. And you now are going to be able to hear a very, very special interview. A guy that I love listening to, I love watching. Erik Kratz joins us, former Brewers catcher, Foul Territory TV. Does a great job with Scott Braun, and AJ Przynski joins us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Erik, thanks for coming on.
No doubt. Thanks for having me.
I feel like you've lost your way a little bit, and I had to reach out to try and get you on because, you know, we in Milwaukee and in Wisconsin, we only got a couple guys in the national media that really kind of got our back. We got you and we got Dan Plesac, and really you two are where our hopes and dreams lie. And you were down on the Caleb Durbin deal, so I was like, I think I got to get him on, and we got to talk this out a little bit to kind of get him back up and on the bandwagon for the Brewers. Why were you so down on the Caleb Durbin deal?
Because it just is frustrating. It's maybe not the whole the Caleb Durbin deal just singularly, but just the whole idea that it always has to be revamped. It always has to be the new guy. Let me put it this way. In no way was I Caleb Durbin when I was there, but I got replaced after I felt like we had a really good team in 18.
Yep.
And they went and got Yasmani Grandal, and the whole offseason you go, yeah, we're going to win. We're going to win the World Series next year. We learned a lot of things. We have a lot of the same team coming back, and those are conversations that ball players have with each other. We're going to win next year, and that's what's going to happen. We did that all off season, and then they traded Isaac Collins. Okay, it's fine. It's no big deal. No big deal. And then they traded Freddie Peralta. Then it was Caleb It's all of a sudden you're like, crap. It's the same thing over and over again, and you just, as a player who lived through it, you go, when are we going to push the whole way in? Was Caleb Durbin going to win in the World Series? It's not what I'm saying. When are you going to make the move to say this is the time when we're going to win the World Series? I don't know when that is, but neither does the front office, and that was my big thing. Is Kyle Harrison going to be awesome? Yeah, he absolutely could be awesome. But it's like if you kept Freddie Peralta and you sold the farm for the next elite pitcher that was available, and you make it to the World Series, are Brewers fans happy? That was it was like a few days of Brewers conversations, and it all kind of came to a head when the Durbin trade went down.
So I'll tell you how I look at it, and I look at it as they're kind of in a gap year, and they're kind of waiting right now. That's what it feels like. It feels like, they've been far more successful than they were prior to, Fielder and Braun, Hardy, and Weeks, and those guys obviously getting to Milwaukee. They were horrible for all those years. But when they brought in Ned Yost, I remember Doug Melvin years later saying Ned was on honeymoon for the first 2 or 3 years, because I didn't care really if we won or lost at the major league level. I just cared more about getting those guys ready. And I remember Ned talking about they were in Double-A, and Ned was writing out lineups in his office as far as where all these guys were going to hit when they got here, and they were just waiting. I think with this Brewers team right now, you add a stud pitcher in the Mets deal for Peralta. You add two what appears to be good pitchers in this deal for Caleb Durbin, plus all the other arms you have at the top of the system right now. You have bats that are coming that are at about Double-A level right now that should be here by the end of this year, early next year. And it feels like to me, yeah, they will probably push in here at some point, but I think they're biding time to where, okay, Andrew Fisher's the number 1 third base prospect. That's who's going to be at third base. It's not going to be Jet Williams. It's not going to be Caleb Durbin. They need Fisher to get here. And then who I was calling Made, but apparently that's not how you say his name. It's Made. That's how you're supposed to say it. I've learned that today from Todd Rosiak of the Journal-Sentinel. So you have him coming now, where he ends up playing shortstop, second base, whatever, but that's a big stick as well. So now you add those two bats. You have Luke Adams coming as well. Like offensively, again, if you believe in what you see in the minor leagues, they're setting themselves up to be really, really good offensively to go along with all of these pitchers. And as you know, if you've got pitching, you can go get anybody you want at a deadline if you want to push in. And yesterday I was talking about it. They've only pushed in really on Sabathia and to a degree Moustakas. And that's really been it in the last, 25, 30 years.
And how many World Series in the last 25, 30 years?
Not a one.
So here's my argument, or here's my viewpoint is, do fans want 7 of 8 seasons in the playoffs, or do they want one World Series shot? Do they want to, as Eminem says, take your shot?
Right.
Like, and that's really and as a player, you want them to take your shot. I tell the story all the time. When we were sitting there in 18, one of the coaches came up to me and said, was asking me, what do you think about Corbin Burns and Big Woo? And Burnsy, just made his debut. He was kind of a piece out of our pen. This was like only a month, maybe not even a month. And Big Woo was kind of up and down. And they said, what do you think of those guys? I'm like, I think they're going to be electric. I think they're going to be great. Did I think they were going to be what they are now? No, I don't think anybody sees that. But they said, would you trade both of them straight up for DeGrom?
Yes.
You know what? Like, and that's where my argument is. Like, you can tell me all about this guy's prospect, this guy's the next future, all that stuff. And that's all they are until they've made it. And like, let's say you have 6 guys, 6 position player prospects. Which group do you feel like is better? Did you feel like the Ricky Weeks, Ryan Braun, Corey Hart, that whole group? Do you think that was Prince Fielder? Do you think that group was better than the 2018 to 2025 iteration of the Brewers?
That's a hell of a good question. That's for sure. I think for me, at least, that whole Braun Fielder thing, that was all ruined for me with the PED Braun thing and all the thing that went with it. But when they were coming up, man, I'm telling you, like debuts for Fielder and Hart, like I think it was Fielder who hit a foul ball and got a standing ovation. And everybody went nuts. So that's a little bit different. Like that's always going to be everybody's kind of deal. But that 2018 iteration, same type of deal where, they start making moves and going for a Yelich and a Kane and all of that. I was on the radio. You trade for Yelich, you sign Lorenzo Kane, and we're losing our minds. Like, oh my God, like what is going on? And then you get what you get, eventually out of both of those players. And then you make that run, you come up just short. And like you said, right, then they play for going forward. I've said this before. The Marlins have 2 World Series. The first World Series, they bought. The second World Series with Jack McKeon, where they were super young and they got on that run, was a little bit different. But I've asked that question, like, if I said the Brewers could win the World Series this year and be horrible for the next 5, would you take it? And I think everybody says yes, but I don't think the owner of the baseball team says yes to that.
That's the issue. That is the issue. And I love the Antanasio family. I like Mark. I love, everybody that I've interacted with. Awesome. So great to me, so great to my family. But if your owner doesn't want to win a World Series at all costs, then I think you'll miss the time when it's time to go all in. And you'll miss the time when it's like there's value to certain players that you just can't find or pay for in a smaller market. Like, for instance, when they built that whole Braun, everything, and what you're talking about, the future, like there's position player prospects galore. Oh my gosh. Madej is going to be ridiculous. Like it's crazy how short our team, how awesome our team future could be. But you know what? You know how they made the playoffs since 18 to 25? Freaking really good pitching.
Yep.
Like in 18, I think we kind of scrapped it together. We had Jolice Chassin going on short rest. We had we had guys that stepped up in big situations, but we had Freddie Peralta. You had Corbin Burns that was able to do some things. You had Wade Miley that said, you know what? I'm going to reinvent myself. Then for the last 7 years since then, it's been Big Woo, number one, Corbin Burns, ace, Cy Young, Freddie Peralta, I think, has taken that next step. You had Josh Hader, National League National League Reliever of the Year. Then they get rid of him and Devin Williams, National League Reliever of the Year. Like, there's been massive pitching at just an absolute bargain price. And I felt like this year was the last year that with Freddie, you could have an opportunity to trade for a number one. And I'm not saying who it was going to be, but my idea was have two number ones so that in the third game of the playoffs, and you had the most wins of any team in baseball, you're not spot starting.
Right.
That's just, and I'm not saying like the fundamental idea of an opener is wrong. I'm saying that if you make that move, to me, that's how close you are. You're that close in game one of the NLCS against the Dodgers that you could make like.
Yeah, but I mean, couldn't you say the bats cost them more in that series than that did?
But did the bats carry them to where they were?
No, you're right about
So
that. That's fair. Yeah.
So, but then you get rid of Freddie Peralta and you say, oh, well, the organization's not saying we're taking a step back. The players aren't saying that. The fans are believing in the prospect hype, believing in all this stuff. And Caleb Durbin may have had his best season of his career.
Correct.
I hope that's not like, I'm not sitting here going, oh my gosh. When people say Dustin Pedroia like stop. Like the dude won an MVP.
Okay, we're on the same page on Durbin then. Okay, go ahead.
No, totally.
Yeah.
And so did they sell high? Absolutely. My gripe was really more, and when you clip things from our show, you miss some of the meat of what we're saying. But really the gripe is, when is it time to go all in?
Mm-hmm.
When are they going to say CC Sabathia type of move? Which, you know what? You were talking about Ned Yost before. Had they not gotten Ned Yost out of there, they might not have made the playoffs.
They wouldn't have. No, they wouldn't. Yes.
So the fact that Ned Yost was sitting there going, I'm making lists of minor leaguers. Well, he should have been focus a little bit more on the big league team. But all that to say, like, there's just I have a love and affinity for Brewers baseball because of my experience with them, but also my experience of how they treated my family. So people have to know this comes from a spot of, I love this team, the city, playing for them. The energy in that stadium was ridiculous when I got to play there, and I can still feel the love on Twitter and all that stuff, being invited to do radio stuff. But to me, the fans deserve more than, we're going to give it a neat try. They deserve the money that they're putting into the team, coming and supporting them. They deserve to have some kind of idea of when that all-in push is going to happen. When they're going to say, you know what, Tigers, I don't think you're going to spend enough money in arbitration on Tarek Skubal. We're going to give you the farm for him in November. We're going to make it so that you can't not trade him. So we have Tarek Skubal for 1 year, Freddie Peralta for 1 year, and we'll see what happens. You know what?
Woodruff. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But now you have Big Woo, who's one of my good friends. Like people have to understand, like, this is not something coming from like some like troll or clickbait type of thing. Like this is me feeling for Brewers fans, me feeling for the players that are there, knowing what they have in a leader in Christian Yelich, what they have in a budding superstar in Jackson Churio, what they have in, a possible MVP type of, he won't get MVP, but he's going to put up WAR numbers like an MVP in Bryce Terang. Like, they have so much value there, and it kills me when it's constantly like, oh, we're just looking for the future. Like we're going to do really good this year, but we're looking to the future.
Erik Kratz, Foul Territory TV, former Brewers catcher. Follow him on X at Erik Kratz 31, joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Fifer with you. I also wanted to touch on the backup catcher situation. So they signed Gary Sanchez for less than $2 million. So that's not a big deal one way or the other if they decide to move on. We're in a situation here again, this time with a position player with William Contreras, right? So you have this year, they avoided arbitration, thankfully. Next year, the number is going to be over $14 million, which, based on looking ahead to the following year's contracts, would make him pretty much like the second highest paid catcher in all of baseball if the Brewers were to pick up that club option. But if they trade him like they've traded everybody else going into their last year, this could be the last year for William Contreras. You have Jefferson Cuero coming off of injury. They want to see kind of what his arm looks like a little bit more, so that's why they get Sanchez, I guess. But my deal on this has been, man, if you really think Cuero is that next guy, and if you don't think you can keep Contreras past this year, and if that's a belief, I just think the more Cuero is around this pitching staff and is around the major leagues and figuring out how to attack the guys in his own division from a pitching game plan standpoint and all of that, to me, I feel like that's more beneficial than being down at Nashville catching every day. But you tell me, you've lived it.
No, I don't agree with you on that one. I think there's a value in the catching position that is exactly the name of the position, catching. And if you sit on the bench up in the big leagues as a catcher, you can learn some stuff, but you're not learning as much as getting those reps every single day. Those reps are super, super important. And I think you're diminishing his maturation as a player if he is sitting on the bench in the big leagues, because Wilson Contreras is going to get run like a rental car until he is not a Brewer anymore. They're going to beat the tar out of him, and he's going to play as many times as possible. And you know what? I brought up Yasmani Grandal before. If he makes $14 million next year, even $15 million, like Wilson Contreras' value wasn't quite there last year. I'm not sure exactly what was going on.
He had a broken finger, didn't he?
Right. So, the injury that he played through is pretty big time. But if he's healthy, he could be one of the top 3 to 5 productive catchers. What do I think he does behind the plate? I think there's some things that he's still learning, even at somebody who's going to be going to free agency in a couple of years. Like, you're always learning behind a dish, and I would not put Jefferson in the big leagues to be the backup. I argued about this with Dalton Rushing over in LA with the Dodgers. He is good enough to be a big leaguer, and Carroll might be good enough to be a big leaguer. I haven't watched him play enough, but that doesn't mean at the catching position that you should just be in the big leagues. As much as every player wants to be in the big leagues, you know what? There's learning and just catching and going through situations, game situations. And AAA may not be the best league as far as like talent, but it is definitely an area where you can learn and become smarter, because the guys down there, especially pitchers, don't quite have the stuff like big leaguers. And so they have to learn how to pitch. Then bang, you come to the big leagues, you have guys with stuff and they know how to pitch. So no, I don't agree with you on that one. Coming off injury or not, I don't agree that Jefferson should be in the big leagues, because I think he could be a future starting catcher. You don't want to put him in the big leagues just to have him to be there and be around the guys. Like, he has to figure that out once he gets there.
That's why I have you on. That's good. Thank you. I appreciate the education. I'll stop saying that now. Follow him on X at Erik Kratz 31, Foul Territory TV as well. Former Brewers catcher. I want to make sure you promote a Brewers show that you guys have launched now as well.
Yeah, Brewers Territory with Kurt Hogue and Corey, the great Scory Knable. My friend Corey Knable is going to be doing it. I love it. We had him on the show, on our show on Foul Territory just yesterday after their first episode dropped. He was wearing all blue. He looked like a Smurf or like a Teletubby because he was snowboarding. I mean, this guy, Kurt's awesome too, but I know Corey much better, and he's just unbelievable dude. Huge fan of the Brewers. And when I texted him about, maybe helping host one of the shows, being a co-host on the show, he was like, "What? I get to watch the Brewers all the time?" He's like, "Bet, I'm in." So it's good. And there's a chance. I know there's going to be another co-host, a former Brewer, but we're going through some logistics. So hopefully it's a cool name. But anyway, sometimes you have to go through some red tape. So Brewers Territory. Check it and follow it and subscribe.
Hogue is a big minor league guy too. He likes his minor league Brewers baseball too. So we'll get a little bit of minor league flair on that deal too. I'm looking forward to it. Good stuff. I love Kurt Hogue as well. Eric, thanks so much for coming out, man. Everybody check out him and AJ Brzezinski and Scott Braun. You guys do a great job, obviously, on that show. And you guys got 10, 12 teams now doing shows, something like that?
We actually have, I think we just started our 21st or 22nd show.
More than
not all team shows, but I think we have 18 or 19 team shows. So yeah, we're kicking it.
Man, that is awesome, man. So proud. You guys are awesome. Eric, thanks so much for coming on.
No doubt. Thank you.
Take care. There he is, Erik Kratz, Foul Territory TV, former Brewers catcher. Follow him on X at Erik Kratz 31 on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Love having Erik Kratz on the show.
He's awesome.
Another guy that I can go at and will come back and will not be mad at me. So
he definitely really was a roller coaster in that interview, I would say, kind of making you feel down as a Brewers fan, but then making you feel back up as a Brewers fan, kind of back and forth.
So I got a text message.
Two different people,
at 414. Steve in Germantown. All due respect to Kratz's opinion, he didn't watch them lose 100 games over and over. Also, if this team tanks, they could be gone from our tiny market. Timeout.
Well,
hold on. Just let me address this one first.
Fine.
Let me just first.
I like the next one.
Yeah, I know. I see the next one. This is the first thing. Okay. From all indications of the owner of this baseball team, he's giving this team to his kids. They're not going anywhere. They're just not. They're making, I would assume they're making pretty good money, right? Don't have a gigantic payroll. It seems to be going okay. Now, they lost TV revenue money here. But the one thing I know, he's not going to lose money every year. That's not how this is going to work in Milwaukee. He's just not going to lose money. So may they lose money a year here or a year there when they push in a little bit money-wise? Sure. Is he going to do it consistently? No. This is not the Bucks ownership group where they're going into double tax, luxury tax aprons and spending out of their rear end. And guys are bailing oh my God, I don't want to spend that much money. And those guys just don't care because they're worth so much. Yeah, whatever. And okay. But that's not what this is. It's just not. So, second one from the 920. Pfeiffer, you idiot. Here we go. Quera will be learning half the staff down at AAA. He needs to play every day and see if that shoulder comes back. First of all, he better not be catching half the staff down at AAA. The only person on the staff that's not going to be there after this year is Woodruff. And again, I'm assuming he's going to go somewhere else. I didn't think he'd be back at $20-some million this year either. So who knows how this plays out? For instance, if there's a CBA deal and there's a floor and the Brewers have to spend more money, okay, then maybe they extend Woodruff and they're able to keep him. But other than that, they're going to change out one starting pitcher. The rest of these guys are all in the rotation for the foreseeable future, unless there's injury, right? I mean, Mizorowski's going nowhere. Priester's going nowhere. Patrick's going nowhere. So those three aren't leaving. Woodruff's gone, fine. So you have to replace that guy. But then the fifth pitcher could be whoever. It could be Harrison, Gasser, Sproat, Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch of guys. So yes, he'll be catching guys that may be going back and forth to a certain degree. Yes, I would agree on that. But it's not even about getting to know the staff, 920. It's also getting to know the opposing hitters that he's going to have to be catching pitchers against, strengths, weaknesses, and all that stuff of these different guys, and getting that knowledge as soon as possible versus learning. When you listen to Pat Murphy for the last couple of years, what does he praise about William Contreras? How great of a game he's calling, how well he handles a pitching staff, all that. He gets all that love from Pat Murphy. And as I said before, I'm not going to call him Yadi Molina because I think Yadi Molina is probably the best catcher I've seen as far as handling pitching staffs in my lifetime. So I'm not going to say that, and he's a Cardinal. So that's disgusting that I would give him that much praise, but it's the truth. So I don't know if he's that Contreras necessarily, but there's a lot of knowledge there that can be shared. And I don't know. That's my thought. But again, Kratz said I'm wrong, so I'm not going to sit here and fight with that. I'll just say I was wrong, and we'll move on. No question. Let's see. Okay, so let's JB the 920. I say some stupid crap, but that they might move guy wears a helmet. That's not very nice, JB.
Well, but that guy says that's what everyone said in St. Louis with the Rams. You don't know.
That team with the Rams was owned by an old lady. Was there talk that she was going to pass it down to somebody? Maybe I missed that. I don't know. But I was in St. Louis doing my afternoon show there and post-game show there with Gary Ellerson. Ram truck was a big sponsor. We had to drive these Ram trucks down to St. Louis for the Packer game. Got to go inside. We did a pregame show outside on a stage. Like, oh, dude, it was so much fun.
You didn't get to keep the Ram
We
truck?
got to stay at a casino down in St. Louis. Mike Clemens was on that trip with us as well. Oh, we had a blast. But, yeah, I don't think it was a family deal where you're like, oh, boy, they're going to sell it as soon as they get it. Now, you see the Seahawks fiasco, right? Where she's being forced to sell the damn team because that's what he wanted. And then all the money's going to charities and everything else. So she doesn't get to keep it. I don't think Mark's doing that to his kids. I could be wrong, but I don't think Mark's going to do it. Look at the Ursays in Indianapolis. He's got his 3 daughters running this thing right now. They're not selling that team. They grew up with that team. So I don't. Again, you never know. I could be wrong. Maybe the kids don't want it, but all indications I get is they're going to be the ones taking it over and running it. Like the Steinbrenners in New York. Like normally when it's in the family, it doesn't get sold out of the family.
Well, and if we're being completely honest too, when teams are moving in these leagues, they're going to more premier cities. What premier cities are really left in the MLB? You have 2 teams in LA. You have 2 teams in New York. You have 2 teams in Chicago. Las Vegas is about to get a team here too. Seattle has a team. All these towns that people talk about, they're not much better than Milwaukee. The teams that are left or the places that are left.
Nashville is a town that's always talked about, but that's not a better situation than Milwaukee in my mind, as far as the money you're going to bring in from local revenue and all of that stuff. Because again, it's a tourist trap.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, there's a lot of people that work there for sure. You have the Nashville Sounds there, the AAA team, the Brewers AAA affiliate. That's a beautiful ballpark. The big guitar scoreboard out in right field, all of that. And that's, again, or maybe it's center field, but either way, that's a beautiful park. I've been there before. I like that a lot. But again, as far as financially making it work and so forth, I agree with you. I think Milwaukee's about as good as any market they're potentially going to move them to at this point. He's Charlie Hughes and C Sparky Fiber with you. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Still to come, Plead the Fifth, brought to you by Habish, and Rotier. That comes up at 4:20. Your chance to get in and tell us who you want to just shush. Plead the Fifth. Don't answer questions. Don't say what you're saying. You make yourself look stupid, right? Who do you want to plead the fifth? Coming up at 4:20. Use that talking text line 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. And Habish Rotier, baby. They've been doing it since 1930. That's a long time. And anytime, at least from my perspective, you start looking to go to a different business, right? Or if you're looking, maybe go to a restaurant, right? Got Valentine's weekend coming up. What are you going to do? Tommy Wirtz is a prime example of this. He texted me. They were going out for, I forgot, his brother's birthday. And he texted me. He's like, hey, we're going to place X. You know anything about it? Whatever. That's what you do, right? You start asking families and friends and whoever else, hey, what do you know about this Habish and Rotier? Like, I've seen them on TV. I've heard them on the radio. But what, you guys ever use them? Whatever? Oh, yeah, my friend used them. They were great. And she won X amount of money and they were awesome. Oh, yeah, my brother used them up. Listen, you don't want to trust me. You want to trust me. You don't have to trust me. That's fine. Start asking people around in your area. They have 13 locations across the state. Wausau, Green Bay, Appleton, Southeastern Wisconsin, Madison, wherever you want to be. Just ask. I promise you there are all kinds of people that you probably know that you didn't even realize used Habish and Rotier at some point, and they're going to tell you how great they are. And that's why they have a national reputation. And they give you that hometown service where you are the most important thing to them, as you should be, because it's the most important thing to you. Check them out today at Habish.com. Again, that's Habish.com, or call them 800-2HABISH. Again, 800-2HABISH, or at Habish.com. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. C. Sparky fighting with you, Charlie Usen, other side of the glass. You know, sometimes we're going to get to Charlie Sounds today coming up in a few minutes here. We don't have this would be a shorter segment. So in the last commercial break, I was on the phone with my family, and the 9-year-old has a sprained ankle and being a baby. And we're having this conversation. Oh, my ankle hurts. And they were going to go get some extra hitting in today. And I was like, suck it up. Like, go. Like, this is not going to be an excuse for you not to go get extra hitting in. Because if it happens in a game, he's on travel baseball. If it happens in a game, you're going to have to play through it. Like, this is not going to be a thing. Like, you're going to have to get up and continue to play, whether you're in the outfield or if you're playing in the infield or if you're pitching or if you're hitting, you're going to have to play through it. So it's not broken. It's not swollen. Nothing crazy like that. It happened this morning, they said, in school. So play through it. And as I'm doing this, the producer door is open. So Charlie is listening to this one half of the conversation. Tommy Wirtz is over here trying to take a nap on the couch before.
I didn't even notice he was over there.
Yeah, he's all
he's
all cuddled up with his blankie. So he's over here. He's getting ready to do a show at 5 o'clock. And I'm thinking to myself, man, these impressionable dudes, right? Like, you may be having kids here at some point. Don't know about Tommy, but I mean, at some point, the kids will be coming probably for both of y'all. I'm like, I could be really screwing both of these two up of what a parent is supposed to do. Because when you're a parent, you don't know if what you're doing is right all the time, right? I'm sure if you went to Charlie's parents and said, hey, man, did you do everything right? They'd be like, hell no. We should have talked to him this way in this moment. Probably should have been more comforting to him in this moment, right? You don't know. There's no guide for this. I don't care if you have 10 kids. Like, every kid is different. You have to handle every kid differently. So when you're around people that are going to be having kids somewhat soon, probably, you're like, oh man, I hope I'm not showing them the wrong way in life. That's what I think, being in this room with you two guys.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, Tommy's asleep on the couch right now. Like, he's got the blanket covering his face.
Who said I'm not riveting?
And I was not listening that much. If I'm being completely honest, I was doing other things over here. So don't worry, you're not that impressionable.
You should take a picture of Tommy sleeping, Photoshop it, and start putting it up on social media. And I think that would be fun.
You want me to be mean to him? That's rude. I can do that. Why? You guys, like, all the old radio people, you guys are all so mean to each other. You always talk about, like, me and Tommy leave, like, stuff open all the time. And you're like, oh, we would have sent emails, like, mean emails and stuff. No, Tommy and I are good with each other.
Back in the day, all of that stuff was fair game.
I do, though, have, for you, like, I'll be nice to Tommy, but I'll be mean to you. And I'll put, like, when you were on the show on Monday, when Thunder was filling in and we had the on the phone graphic.
Oh yeah,
I used that picture of you at the dentist that we enlarged your head.
Oh, funny. Yeah,
it was perfect.
Yeah, that's good.
So I'll be mean to you, but not Tommy.
Right, again, just saying, have some fun. But yeah, so I just was like, man, I'm doing this. I was like, man, he might be thinking, man, what a jerk. Who does that? Well, yeah, I mean, I'm that guy.
Don't worry, we're not listening. It's all right.
Yeah, it's fine. Charlie's Sounds of the Day is coming up next. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Top 3 sounds of the day. Where will we go next with Charlie Usen? Welcome in Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky, Fiver, Charlie Uza on a Friday. Valentine's Day is tomorrow, you knuckleheads. If you haven't gone out and gotten something for your girl, I feel like this is Christmas for guys. I feel like it's the exact same thing. Like Christmas Eve, Christmas Day morning, everybody's running around trying to get all their shopping done. They wait to the very last minute. I feel like guys are very similar to that with Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I think so. But also, like, Valentine's Day is a little harder because usually there's flowers involved, and like it's harder to hide those, especially when you live in a 1-bedroom apartment. So you gotta wait a little bit. So to get the flowers, and like usually February 13th, I went today. There was plenty of flowers, plenty of chocolates and stuff out there.
I
for
tend
you.
to do candy.
Yeah.
Candy makes a lot of sense.
I do both. Hedge my bets.
Yeah, she loves candy, so candy normally is a good play for us. Okay, let's get to Charlie's segment. All right, Charlie, what do we got?
I feel like all of today is going to be like a plead the fifth for you. I don't think you're going to be very happy with that.
You have stuff for plead the fifth.
I do. Oh, I got so many things.
So many.
I got so many things.
Oh, Charlie loves this new plead the fifth segment on Fridays. Yes.
But today I'm going to start with one that I was thinking about putting in plead the fifth, and then I moved it back over to sounds of the day because I didn't think it'd make you as angry as it made Tony Kornheiser and Mike Wilbon on Pardon the Interruption yesterday. This is Kansas State head coach Jerome Tang, and he's not holding back on his team after an awful loss.
This was embarrassing. These dudes do not deserve to wear this uniform. There will be very few of them in it next year. I'm embarrassed for the university. I'm embarrassed for our fans, our student section. It is just ridiculous. We got practice at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, and we will get this thing right. I have no answer, no words. So y'all got 2 questions. So whoever want to ask 2 questions, I'll answer them to the best of my ability right now. But right now, like I'm like pissed, and this is all right.
That was after a loss to Cincinnati where they lost 91-62.
So now you better hope they show up at 6 a.m. practice, first of all, after that goes viral, because I'm sure that went viral. So I would love to know how many of those dudes showed up, number one. Number two, be careful now. Be careful. Don't throw out these hollow threats, and then all of a sudden the majority of this team is back next year after you go and get all mad and say that. As much as I get on Matt LaFleur for falling on the sword, I feel like he had an opportunity to put himself into the blame category in all of this. I feel bad for the university. I feel bad for the student section. Okay, but you're the coach, man. Like, you also should take accountability for your players not playing well. Part of this falls on you and your coaching staff for not having them ready to play. That's where I got lost in this thing. I was waiting for him at some point to take some of the blame. Never, ever took it. Like, that's what makes that a bad look. All right, what's next?
Next up, we're going to head on over to Foul Territory, where we just talked with Erik Kratz from that show. This is Ken Rosenthal, who pops on that show every week, and he was discussing how the MLB can help small markets without a salary cap.
Number one change, in my opinion, that needs to happen is to get more revenue to the small market clubs, and as part of that, to ensure that they spend it on major league payroll. Now, how do you do that? What Commissioner Rob Manfred is trying to do right now is get more games nationally. Take some of the local games and make it part of a national package. Of course, do new national television deals as well. And one of the ideas in there is simply distribute that money not evenly as it has been distributed in the past, the national TV money, but give it disproportionately to the lower revenue teams. It's one way to get them more money. Now, obviously in a cap system, you have a salary cap and a salary floor, but it has always struck me as odd that at the top of the pay scale, top of the payroll scale, we have a luxury tax system with thresholds and penalties. Why not do that at the bottom similar kind of thing, soft bottom, where you go below a certain level, there are penalties for that, whether it's losing draft picks, losing revenue sharing money, could be anything. And philosophically, I don't see how the owners could oppose that. You got this at the top, well, why not put it at the bottom?
I agree with the bottom. I really like the 160 number. I think that's too high, though. It's probably more like 140
140 is where I would
something like that. I don't think it'll be 160 like the Athletic was saying yesterday when we talked about it. But I like the bottom. The disproportionate sharing of revenue, not sure how you're going to get that past these guys at the top of the food chain, how you're doing it that way. That, to me, doesn't make much sense. Unless you're telling them, okay, man, so here's $80 million. 40 of that has to go towards increasing your payroll from last year. So if your payroll last year was 70, I'm giving you 80. You can do whatever you want with the other 40, but this 40, that payroll needs to be up to 110 next year if I'm giving you all this additional money. Now, if you throw that gauntlet down, then I think the guys at the top are like, okay, that's fair. Fine. What they don't want is I'm giving you 80 million and the Brewers add 3 million of payroll and they take the rest for other things. Then that the people at the top are going to be livid. So there has to be something where it has to be put back into payroll and you have to increase payroll if I'm giving you all this additional money.
Last up here, Jeff Passan of ESPN and Ryan Russillo were talking about this same kind of concept that Ken Rosenthal was just talking about, a tax floor for these teams. They took it one step further and said there should be one extra punishment for these small market teams.
Maybe, Ryan, the consequence of that is that the bad owners who don't want to win get the hell out of the game.
You shouldn't be allowed to own one of these teams anymore. Don't buy the Pittsburgh Pirates because of what you hope to sell them in 10 years.
These are public trusts. These are institutions. These are not just mere businesses that exist to get squeezed for all of the profits that you can make out of them. When you buy a trust, when you buy an institution, there's a certain level of stewardship that they demand. And if you're not willing to provide that, go away, because somebody else who actually cares, who understands what the goal and what the benefits of reaching that goal are, will take over and do a better job than you.
Hey, you two brilliant dudes, why don't you go out, line up all these super mega rich owners that want to keep the team in Pittsburgh and want to keep the team in Milwaukee? Give me the 30 names that you have that are willing to take over immediately and put their own money into it, because the revenue share, the revenue money in Milwaukee is not changing. I promise you, no matter who owns this team. So they're going to have to come out of their own personal fund. Go find all these guys. They're going to give Antanasio more money than what the team is worth. And then they're going to put their own personal money in. Find me all those owners that want to own teams in Milwaukee and Pittsburgh and other cities around this country that are struggling right now. I mean, again, talk. Russillo is the king of talking a lot with nothing but hot air coming out. But that's just dumb. That's all it is. Unless you got a bunch of names that are willing to do this, by all means, talking the talk. Like, oh, sell the team. Man, come on, man. There aren't going to be 30 guys lining up to keep the team in Milwaukee and spend all this money. Now, maybe they'll move them somewhere else. But like Charlie said, you're going to put yourself right back in the same hole. There's not major markets out there begging for a baseball team right now. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you. Charlie using, producing, doing his thing here today. Our thanks to Erik Nehm, Bucks beat writer from The Athletic, for joining us in the first hour of the show. With Erik Kratz, former Brewers catcher, Foul Territory TV, joining us in the second hour of the show. If you missed any of that, go to wisportsradio.com to go back, listen to any of the shows that you hear here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Also, you can download and listen on any of your favorite apps that you download and listen to your podcast on, or go back and watch it on X or there on YouTube, where we have a bunch of shorts and so forth. I see Charlie already posted a short of the Erik Nehm interview from earlier today. Boy, you are working hard over there during the show.
I got really good at multitasking since I started. In 2 years, I've been able to do 18 things, talk to you, be able to change stuff on the cameras. It's fun. I feel like an octopus with 8 arms doing stuff.
It was you and me only. There was no video. There was none of that stuff. And it was a lot easier.
Uh-huh. And every time we do something new, I'm really good at complaining about new things. And then I am fine with them every single time.
Yes, because then you lock in, figure out the easiest way to do it. And then you move forward. You're like, oh, I got this. No problem. And then some new producer comes and is like, how the heck are y'all doing all of this stuff?
Because Tommy and I have 8 arms like an octopus.
Yes,
that's how we do it.
That's exactly correct. Yes. Speaking of that, let's get to this. All right, so normally we talk about the Packers in this segment, and kind of going to talk about the Packers in this segment. So there was a ruling that came out today that apparently these report cards that have been going on for the last, I don't know how many years, on the teams now are going to be done differently. Now, the report cards in the NFL, you're graded on your cafeteria. You're graded on your weight room. You're graded on your facilities overall. You're graded on coaches and what the players think of the coaches and the coaching staffs and how they're treated and all these different categories, right? And that is made public. And then everybody that has bad facilities or bad cafeteria food or whatever the case is, they get all worked up and mad because their players ratted them out about how bad it is and what expectations should be. And then the guys that grade out at the top are normally the same organizations year in and year out for good reason, because those are the first-class organizations. So now apparently the people at the bottom have complained loud enough that now the players no longer will do these report cards. No longer. Instead, they're going to hire a third party to do the report cards. Not the players that are there every day. They're eating that food every day, that are working out in that facility and sitting in those hot tubs and showering and spending 8, 10, 12 hours a day at the facility. Those people get no say on how these teams are graded. Instead, it's going to be somebody that has no affiliation with an NFL football player walking in. They're then going to make them. And my understanding is they're not going to be publicized anymore either, correct?
That's the plan by the NFLPA. They won't be publicized. A team can publicize their own grades if they want to, but it's up solely to the teams if they want to do that.
Right, because the NFLPA could care less because they're not the ones grading the reports cards out anymore.
So any of the teams that get an A from this are just going to post it and then be like, oh, look it, we did it. We're still doing it, guys, even though it doesn't matter.
From a third party that nobody cares about that wasn't involved in it. Now, I am trying to understand why we would go down this road. I'm trying to understand why the owners would be so worked up over this that we would go get a third party to do this instead of the players. You can help me. Just feel free. Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250 on the socials at WI Sports Radio. There was a report out last night that the Houston Texans are building their own training facility away from their stadium, and then they're going to do the whole, village or title town district, whatever you want to call it, kind of around their new training facility, and then the team headquarters will be there as well. So all the office personnel and all that will all be there. So now there's 4 or 5 teams that still have all of that based in their main stadium. And I think everybody seems to think that eventually all of them will be outside of their stadium. Well, I'm here to tell you the Green Bay Packers are not doing that because they just spent a boatload of money to have all of that stuff built underneath that stadium, and their offices and all of that stuff. I don't see why they would do that. They still have whatever it is, the Hudson Center and all this other stuff that they have up there. So I don't see the Packers changing and going away because everybody else is at this point, because you already have it built up around there in that Titletown district. But when you have that third party that comes in, so like, are the Packers going to get downgraded now because they don't have this brand new, shiny, separate facility versus everybody else? Like, is that going to work against the Packers? Because I can only tell you from my standpoint, if I was a player years ago, you parked in the parking lot with a chain link fence around it, which stopped nobody from doing anything that they wanted. Then you walk through the snow or the ice or whatever to go either into Lambeau or go change your stuff and then run over to the practice facility or whatever you're going to do. Okay. Now you're inside in the warmth of the stadium and you have practice field down there, the whole deal, everything. So it's all there. Now, do they still have to technically leave if they want to go to the indoor facility or whatever? Yes, they still technically have to do that, but they can get a lot done now inside in the warmth and not have to leave that building on walkthroughs and stuff like that. Where previously there was no room to do any of that. They spent a lot of money to get it to where it is now. And now some third party comes in and goes, well, Green Bay, they're just not comparable to that brand new facility the Texans are building and blah, blah, blah. That's what I don't like. When in reality, the player's like, dude, I'd rather not have to leave. I'd rather be here, not have to go battle the elements and just stay where I am if we have the option to do that.
Well, and I think they won't get dinged on stuff like that as long as they have the amenities that are the same as all these other stadiums, as long as it's a state-of-the-art recovery room, state-of-the-art offices with these giant like film rooms that you see all these other NFL teams have. As long as they have that, that's not going to matter. I think the Packers, this is one of the only, I guess not the only things, but one of the things that they're blessed with being in Green Bay is that they don't have to do that, is that they are able to build under their stadium, or if they wanted to build right next to their stadium, like we saw for the NFL draft and how they were able to just bring that up out of nowhere. All these other teams, when you're in these cities, it's so much harder to do any other kind of building outside of your stadium. So you have to have these practice buildings, all these giant facilities moved away from the stadium where it's easier to build that type of stuff. So I think that's something that these third-party auditors that are coming in doing this type of work are going to notice that, aren't going to ding a team like the Packers because they're just able to do it differently than these other teams.
That's the other thing about this that you have to consider is how much stock are they going to put in these third-party reports? When there was public humiliation involved in all of this, that made it a lot more pressure-packed on these owners. And if you're an owner, and again, all owners aren't like this, but if you're an owner, don't you want your players to be happy? If you're an owner, don't you want good things said about your facility and how you do business around the National Football League? Do you want to be viewed as the cheapskate owner that's letting his stadium run into the dirt or his practice facility run into the dirt or doesn't care about the food quality and that stuff? Do you want to be that facility? That's the one thing that the Green Bay Packers have prided themselves on over the years, is trying to stay in front on a lot of this stuff. You want this? Okay, we'll spend the money. We'll go get this. You want this? Okay, we'll spend the money. We'll go get this. You talk to a lot of these players over the last 30 years. Like if they wanted something, they would just be like, go and they'd ask. And 9 out of 10 times they'd be like, all right, sounds good. We'll figure out how to get that done for you guys. Done. Problem solved. And that's why they're viewed the way they are around the league. And that is why the organizations that aren't viewed great, that trickles right back to the owner. Now, these cheapskate owners that don't want to reinvest in their facilities and so forth now will now really have no reason to do that if they're never going to be public anymore.
No, and
they're not from the players.
Frankly, even when they were public the past couple of years now, I don't think it changed all that much. I don't think the ability for a lot of these players to get whatever they want from their teams or in their stadiums is a novelty anymore. Like that's something that I think a lot of these players just expect from their franchises. So yeah, you're putting out these grades and you're complaining about the the state of the facilities, but it's still one of the nicest facilities in the whole entire world that you're still getting whatever you want in. So yeah, I think this is something where it definitely protects the owners a little bit, but I don't think them getting these grades in the first place was affecting them all that much besides their ego.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, you've seen owners respond back when these report cards came out of, well, that's unfair. We're in the process of, fixing our cafeteria and remodeling the whole thing.
But it's the owners that are always talking.
But
it's the
that's
same owners.
right.
It's the Woody Johnsons in New York.
Yes.
It's
correct.
the Jerry Joneses in Dallas.
And
It's the
that's why
guys
I
that
say,
talk all the time.
Right. And those are the guys with all the money at the top of the food chain that I bet you pushed to get this thing taken away from the players to have this third party do their thing. And that's crazy to me to a certain degree, because if a guy like Jerry Jones, if you talk to guys that played for that guy, they all say the same thing. Man, anytime you need a job or you need whatever else, you call Jerry. Jerry will help you find a job. Jerry will bring you in the organization. Jerry will give you tickets to get whatever. Like, those guys that played for Jerry, most of them all love everything that Jerry will do for you after your playing career is done and you're retired and whatever else. He goes out of his way to try and help him and be good to those guys, or at least that's a lot of what I've heard. Now, maybe that'll be different as we get further along here and he gets older, but that's a lot of the stories that you heard previously.
But again, when that stops being a novelty, especially for a guy like Jerry Jones, what then do you have to offer? When a lot of these other owners are doing that same thing nowadays, when that's not something that you see, I get it's a lot easier for owners to give out tickets and help these players that are with their teams.
The Packers, previous to Ted getting there, would allow alumni on the sidelines, would take care of them and all this stuff. And then when Ted came in, they're all of a sudden, boom, they're banished. They're no longer allowed down there.
But they're not disrespected.
And he kind of changed the whole thing. He made there were a lot of alumni that were not too happy about how everything got changed when Ted rolled into there. And over the course of time, I'm sure it's changed and cycled and so forth. But like, look at North Carolina basketball, college basketball, right? That's a family, like to the point where they want to keep all the coaches of that team based from guys that have coached there or have been players there or have that connection, and you keep everything in the family. And in Madison, if this doesn't work out with Fickle, they're going to go back to doing it that way in Madison too, because this will be the second time now they've tried going outside the family, and it's burned them both times with Gary Anderson and now Luke Fickle. And all of a sudden, it may be Jim Leonard next, and they're going to just bring him back, and we're going to start back over again. That could be – now, McIntosh will not be the AD if it's Jim Leonard, but that could be where they go. We're like, no, we've tried this twice now, and we've got burned. We're going back to how it was previously. Coming up next, it's time to plead the fifth, brought to you by Habish, and Rotier. You can dial it up. You can call in and be like, hey, I didn't have a chance to give Charlie a heads up about this sound, but man, I really need to tell Mitch Thundernellis to plead the fifth and just be quiet already about whatever it may be. Here's your chance. Could be about something you saw on TV. Could be about something you heard on the radio, whatever. Here's your opportunity to tell somebody to just plead the fifth already. Dial it up, 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. On the socials, WI Sports Radio, Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, Charlie Usen over there. Got some news on the Milwaukee Brewers. Brewers have made a move, it appears, Charlie.
Per Mark Feinsand, they signed Luis Rengifo, formerly of the Los Angeles Angels, for the past 7 seasons to a 1-year deal. Details have not been released yet.
Okay, so looking at Rengifo right now, he is a third baseman. He has played third base several times.
He's a utility guy for the most part with
Correct.
the Angels. He's been all over the field. They've played him everywhere.
Second, third, short, outfield. So that would be another option for them at third base if they're not comfortable with what they have at this point. We look at Rengifo's numbers. He had a WAR, a robust 0.4 win above replacement, 501 at bats, 147 games. So he played a ton. Hit 238, 287 on base, 335 slugging. That's not good. 9 homers, 43 RBIs last year, and 10 stolen bases. Now, the good numbers where it was the year previous in 2024 with the Angels, had a 1.9 win above replacement. Only played 78 games, though, so it's about, half the game, somewhere in that area. But he did it 300, 347 on base, 417 slugging, 6 homers, 30 RBIs, 24 stolen bases that year, 13 doubles in 2024. So he's had, if you look at the previous 2 years before that, 264. So maybe he ends up getting some run here at third base for the Brewers. 5'10", about 200 pounds, switch hitter for the Brewers and throws right-handed. I don't feel like this is a bad idea at all at this point. I'm fine with this idea.
So this is the Brewers' big offseason signing, according to Jason R. Martinez of Fangraphs. It is a 1-year, $3.5 million contract with a 2027 mutual option.
I don't think I would pay him that much, but either way. But again, 24, he had good numbers. He didn't play as much as he did in 25 when his numbers were brutal, but in 24, he did have good numbers. And unlike Castellanos, who everybody's like, well, he played third base. Yeah, but it was like 10 years ago. This dude played third base last year, so he legitimately can play third. Does he have big power? I don't know about that. You have to go all the way back to 23. He had 16 homers, and then in 22, he had 17 homers. Age 25 and 26 year, he'll be age 29 year coming up here in the 2026 season. So he does have multiple seasons at the big league level, 445 at bats, 511 at bats, where he did get over 15 home runs. So I don't think it'd be that much different than Jet Williams per se at this point. Stolen base wise was never a stolen base guy until 24 when he had the 24 bases. But it looks like he's capable of stealing some bases if that's the way they want to go.
Definitely. And I think, again, this is a player that feels like it fits in well with the trajectory that Brewers have gone so far this season. Again, another guy that can just come in and play almost anywhere for you. Like you said, kind of like Jet Williams, just older and is more prepared to start the season, potentially probably at third base than maybe a Jet Williams is.
He's born on the same day as my kid. So he'll turn 29 on the 26th of February.
All right.
So he'll be 29, like I said, when the season starts, and a switch hitter.
Another Venezuelan player, too.
Correct.
That's probably another big reason he decided to come here.
Could be. And a switch hitter, which allows you to keep him in the lineup, righties or lefties. That wouldn't matter as much. So maybe this spells the end for Jet as far as being at the major league level, and this may now push him down to AAA. Tell you one thing, I'd rather have him playing third than David Hamilton at this point. If you're going to give me an option between those two, I'd much rather go with Rengifo here than Hamilton.
Yeah, you and everybody else, Sparky.
Yes,
for sure.
The David Hamilton thing, you can just save me on all of that. Like, I have no interest in that dude starting at any position right now at this point. All right, let's get to it. All right, so this is the deal. This is nice and simple. It's not that hard. All you got to do is tell us who you would like to plead the fifth, whether it be a host earlier in the week here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, whether it be somebody in sports, whatever the case may be. And if you don't have a ton, that's okay, because Charlie does. Every week, Charlie comes prepared with a lot of idiots that had a lot of dumb stuff to say. So we're always well prepared. I would like to get this segment to the point where people are calling in and going after hosts for dumb ticks that they may have across the board. Unless you all are saying, hey, man, Josh and Trevor, they don't miss, right? That's just, they don't miss. 9 to noon, John and Rami and Brandside, they're never wrong. Mason Crosby show, him and Thunder, they don't miss. Sparky, you're always right. Charlie, he's good. Like, we don't have nothing to complain about. We don't need to tell anybody to plead the fifth on Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. You guys are great. Now, if that's the case, that's amazing. And I'm very proud of everybody on this, on the lineup. But I find it hard to believe that is actually true at this point. With that, Rami Makloff was nominated for Plead the Fifth this week. Charlie Usen, let's hear what Rami said that got him in all this trouble.
I feel like the Olympics is manipulative. I feel like they want to use my patriotism and my love for country to get me to watch something that I don't care about for 4 years at a time, just so I can watch ads for like McDonald's or Coca-Cola or whatever the case might be. Like, that's all that this is. They're just using your patriotism to pull you into things that you don't really care about. You don't. If you did, you'd be watching figure skating for the 4 years in between. You'd be watching skiing and bobsledding and whatever, and the thing where the guys ski and then shoot and then ski and then shoot and then ski and then shoot. Like, what? Why is it suddenly interesting now, other than the fact that they're telling you it's for country?
Now, apparently, he said he came out and apologized later. He said he apologized. I didn't hear the apology.
I didn't either, yeah.
But can I just tell you, I don't believe you, Rami. Stop it. Apologize. Apologize for what? You've been saying the same thing for as long as I've known you. I've known Rami since 2005. For 21 years now, Rami Makloff has never liked the Olympics, has always been anti-Olympics, has never bought into any of this crap that everybody else buys into and watching it. And he walked it back, apparently with an apology. So to that, I say, plead the fifth, man. Plead the fifth. There are times when it's smart to keep quiet, times when you need the right team speaking for you. And in this case, could be Habish Rotier, obviously, for personal injury. In this case, maybe just let John talk on the Olympics. Just let John and Brandon talk about the Olympics, and it'll be fine at the end of the day.
I have a quick mini one from 9 to noon. That was earlier today. I didn't grab the sound because we don't need the sound. But too many people on that show are too comfortable with peeing in the shower and peeing all over themselves, because that's so weird. And Rami's the only person who didn't want to do it. And I agree with him.
I had a meeting today at a restaurant, lunch meeting, with myself and our general manager. And I was sitting down, he was sitting down, and we got there first. Mm-hmm. So we were just talking about the person we're meeting with. He walks in and starts talking about, dude, your station. Oh my God. And he's just laughing. I was like, what? What are you talking about? And he brings that up. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh my God, what are we doing on the radio right now? Supposed to be talking about sports. And instead, that whole show. But again, that's what happens. Brandon Snide not there. The whole show sidetracked.
Yeah, and Mitch Nellis got on there at the end of it. Yes. He was talking about peeing in the shower too.
Exactly. And no, that is, for the record, if that's going to be a thing, that's disgusting. And there's no chance I'm doing that.
All right. Thank you.
Absolutely not. That's horrible.
All right, we're going to go with a real one now. Again, one of your favorites, as always. We actually have 2 clips from this show. First Take. This is Brian Windhorst on First Take saying that he's giving the tankers in the NBA a pass.
I'm giving the tankers a pass. I'm giving them a pass. I could sit here and go chapter and verse of some of the stuff that I'm seeing in Utah, some of the stuff I'm seeing in Washington, in Sacramento, in Indiana. But you know what?
Sacramento's trying. Stop.
I can't blame them, Shay, because they are incentivized to do this. And so therefore, I am determining that these are good people who are good at their jobs, having to make bad decisions because they're incentivized to do so. We see this across humankind. People are sometimes incentivized to do things that are not, for the greater good. They're incentivized to do this. The way that everything is set up, you are incentivized to lose. And so I can say what the Jazz are doing, and I can say I disagree with it, but I can't look at you and say that if I was Ryan Smith or I was Will Hardy or I was Austin Ainge, that I wouldn't do it. And so really what Adam Silver is trying to do here is he's trying to hold his finger in the dam, because He's now looking at, we're in mid-February, and he's looking at the landscape, and he realizes that there's about to be a disaster when this thing breaks, because we're going to have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 teams not trying to win. And he's trying with this to send a message over the bow, please stop. Otherwise, we're going to get more serious. But they have to change the fundamental issues. Without changing the incentive, you will not change the behavior. You know this with a toddler, and it's true even in billion-dollar businesses.
So, first of all, as I stated before, to those of you that are doing that, I don't care if they fine you or not. If I was the Milwaukee Bucks, that's what I would have been doing too. I would not be doing the rigmarole that they're currently doing. With having said that, if we did it my way, we never probably would have saw the last 2 games. So very, very happy that I got to watch Jang, and apparently we might have a future star in Milwaukee now. So that was good, right? The Cam Thomas signing, I hated at that point because it's like, why are we trying to get in the playoffs for? What is the point of this? We had Erik Nehm on earlier. He thinks there's a chance they could re-sign both of these guys and keep them if that's what they decide they want to do. KPJ has a player option, so maybe he goes somewhere else, and it's Cam Thomas and Ryan Rollins or however this works out. But not every year do you get a stacked lottery like you have talent-wise. This is one of the best years in a long, long time from a talent perspective. Now, I also understand that most of you don't watch college basketball outside of Wisconsin or Green Bay. Nice victory last night for Doug Gottlieb and his crew on TV. So outside of Green Bay or outside of Bart Lundy and the Panthers or outside of Shaka and Marquette. Those are your teams. That's who you watch. Really don't care about the rest of it, right? And then you get to the NCAA tournament, then you start caring and watching. If you are one of those people that are listening to me in Green Bay, Wausau, Duluth, Superior, Milwaukee, wherever you may be, you are going to see what we're talking about when we get to the tournament. When we get to the NCAA tournament and you start to see some of these freshmen of how talented some of these guys are, and you're like, oh my God, like they could have had one of these guys, and instead they decided to go try to get into the play-in tournament and they're playing to win. What in the world are we doing? Like, this would have been a great player to have with Giannis for the next 5 to 10 years or however long we get Giannis to stay, right? That's a superstar right there. What are we doing? Then you're going to come over to some of what everybody else is thinking. The people that are in the front office of these NBA teams, right? They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Maybe I'm crazy. There aren't guys lined up to sign off and play in Utah in the wintertime. Yeah, they got good skiing, but I'm just telling you, they're not signed up to go play in Utah. They're not signed up to go sign deals in Milwaukee. We've had Giannis forever. Who exactly has come here and wanted to play? Cam Thomas, okay.
Torian Prince.
Right. For the rest of the year, deal with Cam. That was it.
Brooke Lopez, he came here on his own, didn't
he?
Yeah.
Damian Lillard, he didn't want to come here. He wanted to go to Miami. And then had to redo a list in order to get him to come here to play with Giannis. But I promise you, if Giannis wasn't here, he ain't picking Milwaukee under any circumstances, nor is anybody else. So when you're in these smaller markets, I love Indianapolis, but again, in the winter, probably not the best. And in Indianapolis, you can go around the entire downtown area without ever stepping foot outside. Everything is connected inside. So you really don't even have to go outside. It's such a cool town. Having said that, good luck getting big name free agents to sign there. So if you're going to get the Halliburtons and stuff like that, either you're going to have to make a trade like they did with Sacramento, or you're going to have to draft those cats. Oklahoma City, same thing. Nobody's signing up to go play in Oklahoma City. There's not a star there or a chance to win a championship. You have to understand what they have. To me, this is simple. Just get rid of the dumb lottery. Just get rid of it. Done. We're all done. We're going back to a standard worst to first type deal. And that's how we're going to play this. And that's it. And if you're like, the last month and a half, they don't try. Fine. Then make the draft order set March 1st. Hey, whatever the draft order is at the All-Star break, that's what it's going to be for the rest of the year. I mean, that's the draft order in the draft. So no longer is it the record in the middle of April at the end of the season. Whatever the records are at the All-Star break, that's the draft order for the next year. You want to fix it? There. Now the rest of the season means nothing. So either you can play full out and go all the way in. If you don't want to risk injury and you want to sit people, do what you got to do. But it has nothing to do with the actual draft order for the following year. You want to get rid of it? There. I just gave you an easy way to get rid of it, nice and simple. And then the second half of the year, you can do whatever you want.
right?
I guess. I don't love that solution. I think, I guess that changes things.
I hate the lottery.
I do too. And I think it was a really weak attempt by the NBA to try to.
Has that stupid thing.
I think it was a really weak attempt by the NBA to try to fix whatever problem they thought they had with tanking. But in all reality, I think you just need to find a better way to promote some of these smaller market teams, which you just hate doing. The NBA is one of the worst leagues when it comes to trying to promote those small market teams. When they have these all-star games, that's the only time they spend any time in one given stadium trying to promote that stadium all that much, because they want to bring 200 different influencers from all over social media to that all-star game. And it's a lot easier to do when it's in LA and in these big markets. They're not going to bring those all-star games to Milwaukee. They don't want to do that because the influencers don't want to go there. They don't care about the actual cities. They care about making name for the league, not the teams in the league.
Plead the Fifth, brought to you by Habish, and Rotier. Check them out online at Habish.com. Who do you wish would plead the Fifth? Talk at text line 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250 so far. Remy Makloff, Brian Windhorst. Where are we going next?
I think this guy has made an appearance on all of the Plead the Fifth so far. This is Stephen A. Smith saying that he wants the NCAA to stand down in the Trinidad Chambliss situation.
I want the NCAA to stand down and leave the kid alone. I'm very, very happy with this rule and let the kid play. It ain't too many people that's looking to stay in college, these days, particularly with the way the NCAA runs its business. Here's a kid that wants to play college football. We all know that based on the year that he had, where he led the SEC in passing yards, where he threw for 22 touchdowns, ran for 8 more, was the SEC passing leader, got Ole Miss to college football playoffs. They won 2 games there. He put forth a virtuoso performance against Georgia with 362 yards passing. The kid can ball, okay? And college football would benefit immensely to see him on center stage the next season rather, after the year he just had at Ole Miss, coming from Division II Ferris State, supposedly going to be a backup, and he exceeds expectation. Leave this man alone. Why are you fighting him? Let this man play. He wants to play college football. How many people want to stay in college when you got the NCAA hovering over you with their trifling selves? Leave him alone. Let him play. The judge ruled that he's eligible. You understand? Medical red shirt and all of that. Let this man play. Let him have his eligibility. Do not appeal at NCAA. Let him play. It's great for college football. It's a great story. And he's a great talent. Leave him alone. Let him play.
Yeah, let him play till he's 35. Let him play till he's 40.
Just because he wants to be there. It's okay. He wants to play college football. No, he wants to be there because he's not going to be an NFL player this year.
And he's going to get paid a ton of NIL money.
It's pretty simple,
He would have been drafted, though.
He would have
been drafted. It would have been like 4th round, something like that.
That's not where he wants to be. And where a lot of people were talking about him after that playoff game, he feels like, and a lot of people around him feel like, oh, you could be a 1st-round pick after 1 game. Like that's kind of insane to me that that's the reason he wants to come back. So to your point, yeah, he'll be a 4th-round pick, but then he'll sit on the bench and probably end up in the Canadian Football League after 5 years. That's what happens to a lot of these guys.
Maybe. I'm not going to say his future is
It's just
over.
more likely that happens than staying in the pros.
But I'll say this. He's going to make more money in NIL money than he would wherever he was drafted this year, because I don't think he was a 1st-round pick. So, from that perspective, what is he going to get in NIL money? 5 million, 10 million, somewhere in that area. So he's going to make more money doing that to set up himself going forward. Then, depending on where he gets drafted the following year, even if he still goes in the 3rd or 4th round, he still has that nest egg kind of already put together. Then there's not the, oh man, I got to figure this out, or otherwise I'm going to have to go work a real job. You've already got some good amount of money set aside. Some of that pressure comes off. Okay, I'm not going to have to worry about, I have to start right now, or I have to be starting in 2 years. Now we can let the whole situation play out and work himself into it. The other thing that's going to ding him with the draft is he's going to be older now, right? Because now you've been there even longer, and age works against you. In the NBA draft, the older you are, oh, you're a senior? You're pretty much retired. There's no ceiling for you. You'll never get any better. We like the 19-year-old. That's who we want to take. And that is ridiculous to me, because you're not going to tell me that a kid that played 4 years of college basketball can't get better in the NBA. Like, I just have always hated that logic, but that's how NBA front offices think. They want to be able to mold them themselves between the G League and the NBA versus, waiting for them to play 3 or 4 years of college basketball. And in the NFL, look, I mean, you look at some of these guys. Penix, for example, is a guy that was what? He was an older player coming out that was all over college football and so forth, had an injured history, and the Falcons said, we don't care. We're taking Michael Penix.
Well, because teams like the Indianapolis Colts did the opposite and said, we're going to take a gamble on an Anthony Richardson, who's pretty young in this situation.
He didn't even come out after his freshman year necessarily. He was still there for a little bit longer.
Right, but still a guy that has less experience,
Yes.
and they took a gamble on that. Teams are starting to notice that. They're starting to notice the Sam Darnold's winning at 27 years old instead of at 23 years old, and that makes a difference to a lot of these teams. I guess my point with this whole situation, what Stephen A. is saying, is if Chambliss, really wanted to play football, and that's his goal, is that he just loves football, and that's the reason he wants to come back to college football. If he wanted that, he would want to be in the NFL. That's what my dream was. That was John Kuhn's dream. That was Mason Crosby's dream.
As I've said before, and I will say again, I'm telling you, as we go here in the next 5 to 10 years, and this NIL money gets crazier and crazier, there's going to be kids that just don't go to the NFL because of the concussion stuff or whatever. I mean, like, I've got $20 million in the bank right now from playing 4 years of college football. I'm not playing in the NFL.
That means that wasn't their dream.
I'll go be
that wasn't what they wanted to do, really.
I'll go be a college football analyst or whatever the case
so
is.
Stephen A. is coming out here and saying, I'm saying that Trinidad Chambliss is a guy that just loves football and wants to come back and play college football because that's where he belongs. No, this is a guy that wants money, and this is the guaranteed way to get money.
Correct.
That's what's happening. It's not that he loves the game.
You're 100% right on that. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook here on a Friday. And that was Plead the Fifth, brought to you by our friends over there at Habish and Rotier, national reputation, hometown service. Call 800-2HABISH or visit them at habish.com. Coming up on the next segment, things that we missed on today's show, brought to you by the Milwaukee Admirals. Wisconsin Sports Daily. C. Sparky Fifer with you. Charlie Hughes at another side of the glass. Coming up, Wisconsin Sports wrap up from 5 to 6 o'clock with a big old hunk of love heading into a Valentine's Day weekend. Tommy Wirtz will take you home on your drive home as he does every day, Monday through Friday from 5 until 6. Give you the best of what was on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network earlier today. On this show, Erik Nehm, Bucks beat writer for The Athletic, joined us in the first hour. I talked about Jeng, talked about Thomas, talked about Jericho Sims, talked about Giannis, Doc Rivers, all that stuff was covered there. Erik Kratz, Foul Territory TV, former Brewers catcher, he joined us in the 3 o'clock hour. That was lots of good fun, as I was kind of disappointed with his take on Caleb Durbin trade on Foul Territory TV. So him and I went back and forth on that. Went back and forth on the backup catcher position and Jefferson Cuero. So definitely want to check that out too. Again, wisportsradio.com, wherever you download your favorite podcast. Hey, can you feel it? It's a thrill of witnessing a walk-off grand slam, a game-winning touchdown, a buzzer-beating 3. You know the feeling. And there's only one place to experience that raw exhilaration, the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Catch all the action in a supreme space with dozens of sports betting kiosks. They're right there as soon as you walk off of the parking garage, right? That 4th level, right as you walk in, there's Rock and Brews right there, and then right across from it are all these kiosks you can make all your bets on. You can go to one of their fine dining restaurants scattered throughout the Potawatomi Casino Hotel. You can head on down to the Potawatomi Sportsbook, make your bets there as well. Catch all the action in a supreme space with dozens of sports betting kiosks, cool drinks, luxury seating, 2 levels, great food, fiery atmosphere, and a monster video wall, 2,000 square feet. 30 sporting events at one time they can show. You got 48 beers on tap, dozen different specialty cocktails, homemade desserts and pastries every day, full menu. It's awesome. And again, next month, the month of March, with college basketball, it's going to be jam-packed. Always recommend you reserving a seat ahead of time. Nominal fee goes towards your food and beverage costs. So really, you were going to spend that money anyhow. Go to Potawatomi.com to do that. Again, the Potawatomi Sportsbook, the place to be for sure, regardless of what sport you want to watch. Go to Potawatomi.com. Must be 21 years of age or older to enter the casino. All right, let's get to things that we missed. The Brewers made a signing earlier today. We broke in with that when that happened. But in case you are just getting in your car and you are leaving for the day, Charlie, tell everybody who the big Brewers splash signing was. Over $3 million they're going to pay this guy this year.
Crazy that this is the big signing. Utility man from the LA Angels, Luis Rengifo, is coming to the Milwaukee Brewers on a 1-year deal. Like Sparky said, $3.5 million with a mutual option next season. Again, like we talked about earlier in the show, not really a stolen base guy, but a guy that can play all over on defense, help the Brewers out in that role, and has a little bit of pop if put into the right position and plays consistently.
So he's played third base a bunch, including last year for the Angels. So now it looks like that's probably your third baseman as we sit here today, a switch hitter, which is good. He's like 5'10", 5'11", about 200 pounds. A guy that hit over 15 home runs in back-to-back years a few years ago, back in, I want to say it was 22 and 23.
Yep.
So hasn't shown as much power as of late necessarily. Had a bad year at the plate last year, a much better year in 24 when he hit 300. So there is some potential there for him to be something. So we'll see what Rengifo does as a starting third baseman for the Brewers, because if you're here and you're paying him $3.5 million, he's starting at third base. So I would imagine Jet Williams back down to AAA for the Brewers. David Hamilton is your utility player still, and that takes care of the third base situation. We have a new system coming to Major League Baseball for balls and strikes, right? We're going to have the challenge system coming in. And I was seeing last night, Jesse Rogers of ESPN tweeted out, okay, so the circle is what the strike zone is currently, and then the square behind the circle is what the strike zone is going to be now with this computer model that they're going to be able to use to challenge balls and strikes. There's not that much of a difference, right? The upper thirds, the bottom thirds, there's a little bit more room. The directly on the sides, you lose some of that space, and you don't have as much space to the upper part of the zone either when you see one overlaid over the other. Having said that, Major League Baseball pitcher, sometimes emotional, Chris Sale, had this to say about potentially calling a ball or a strike call during the season.
I will never challenge a pitch.
Never going to challenge it.
I won't do it. Why?
Save it. There's no chance. Don't believe it.
Because I'm not an umpire.
Oh, stop.
That's their job.
That's fair enough.
It's never argued
I'm
with
a
it.
starting pitcher. I've never called balls and strikes in my life. Plus, I'm greedy, and I know that. I think they're all strikes. Especially the catchers nowadays, the way they catch the ball, the way they receive, they make them all look like strikes. And again, I'm a starting pitcher, and I'm greedy. I like pitches that are on the corner that might be a little off. In the heat of moment, especially you throw a good pitch, you got Murph or Baldy or whoever back there, and they kind of catch it the right way. I mean, they make a lot of balls look like strikes, and I don't want to take away one of those challenges that might be needed later on in the game. And I've dealt with it before. It's across all games and my entire career, there's been balls called strikes and strikes called balls, and you just kind of deal with it. Now, if my catcher has something to say about it, I'll leave that to him. But I've dealt with both sides, and I'm fine to kind of keep dealing with it.
I don't believe you. 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 You're saying it now in the calm presence of spring training, and everybody's in a good, happy mood, and we're calm. You get into the throes of summer, and something goes sideways. You know what's going to happen? He's going to blast the system. Why can't we just go back to normal umpires, get rid of the stupid challenge system? It cost me tonight, blah, blah, blah. I promise you there will be one or multiple outbursts by Chris Sale about this whole thing. That'll wrap it up here for a Friday edition of Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. We'll be back at it on Monday. Got the NBA All-Star stuff to talk about. Daytona 500 is coming up this weekend as well. So I'll back at it again Monday afternoon at 2. Enjoy your weekend, Wisconsin. Toodles.